The chair is Mr. Spencer and co-chair Mr. Sudud. And can we have the interpretation send out their information to the public, please? Jose, is it recorded?
Yes, it's recording, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Interpretation, may you please give your information, please? Thank you.
Good evening. Buenas tardes, buenas noches. Siguiente mensaje es para las personas que desean llamar a la línea en español. Si así es, por favor, marque desde su teléfono el número 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 386-631-472, signo numeral. Una vez más, para escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor, marque desde su teléfono el 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 386-631-472, signo numeral. Si desea permanecer en este espacio virtual viendo la reunión en su computadora, asegúrese de bajar el volumen de sus altavoces y marcar desde su teléfono el 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de acceso o número de conferencia 386-631-472, signo numeral. Gracias. Thank you. One thing, Wendy, if you can try to give us a better sound, because your mic is kind of, you know, we are not getting that well. If you can do something for us, we'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, the following message will be in Mandarin. 您好，晚上好。如果需要收听中文翻译的话，请拨打347-966-4114，然后输入会议 ID 输入会议 ID 是8937214494井号键。如果需要收听中文翻译频道，请拨打347-966-4114，然后输入会议 ID 8937214494井号键。拨进入翻译频道之后呢，请把自己的电话调成静音，谢谢 ，Thank you。
Thank you, everyone. I apologize, my connection is a little weak. I will have Miss Daniels, who is also our president of President's Council, to introduce herself. Miss Andrea Daniels.
Hi, good evening. Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Andrea Daniels. I'm president of President's Council, and I'm part of the committee, and I'm here to help assist. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I see Tazeen, you're on, and Tazeen is our Brooklyn appointed by the borough president for the panel for educational policy. Tazeen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, Tazina Zachi, her pronouns, I am, yes, the Brooklyn Borough's president, appointed to the panel for education policy. I'm here in solidarity and support of this council in any way possible. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. So our chair and our co-chair are currently in transit, so I will just kind of allow people to kind of give their feedback on building facilities. This is a committee on the capacity and utilization for District 75. So we just like to really hear about your feedback. Again, my name is Amy Sai. I'm the co-president of Citywide Council for District 75. I see a couple of members and attendees here, so feel free to come off of mute and introduce yourself and give your feedback. Thank you. I see Christine's iPhone and Miss Brown and Miss Spanier. Would you like to introduce yourself? Can anyone still hear me?
Amy, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Um, anybody who's attending to this evening, feel free to come up to me. I know everybody's multitasking, but I'm trying to fill in the space and time for our chair to come in. Miss Brown, do you want to introduce yourself? Andrea, would you like to give a little feedback on your thoughts of the capacity and utilization for District 75?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was previously on this committee before. And basically, what this committee does is we try to fight for, like, how you call it, seats for our students, like for more space within the DOE buildings, especially in the co-located sites, which means we share buildings with the general education kids and students. And in some cases, sometimes our kids are not always wanted there, but we fight to get them space or to get the school expanded or whatever the needs of the particular school or organization is. It's not an easy task, but we have done it. We have achieved a lot of things for our students. So no matter how much pushback some of the schools give, we make sure we get things done. But a lot of times, some of the schools also do collaborate with District 75. And those are most of the schools that we have a good relationship with certain districts and things of that nature. So sometimes this committee can mean trying to get a seat for a D75 kid or get the school or have a school be expanded. Or in some cases, in some cases, new buildings are getting built. And we want to make sure some of our D75 schools and students also get some of that space in some of these newly built DOE buildings in some cases. So that's my synopsis of what this committee is pretty much about. Thank you. Amy?
Yeah. Constance, are you there?
Yeah, I'm on now, Amy. I'm sorry, I could hear you while I was coming up, and I don't think they heard you. You had actually asked members, people who are on this call, to unmute and introduce themselves, and you requested Ms. Jimmy Brown, if you could unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Brown. I have guardianship of my grandchildren, and one of them have an IEP, and I sit on the SLT at the school, and I do various positions. And right now I'm here as a parent, and I'm learning, and this is really like my first meeting to be able to know and go forth. And as far as I'm listening to what Andrea say, that is a lot that happened. And I do know at my school, we do co-locate with a District 75 school. and we make sure that they are involved in a lot of things that we do. Some of their children are, be able to be mainstream in certain areas, and they have been included into the grades to come in and do that along with their parent that comes with them. So it's working there, but we need to make sure that it's working all over.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I also want to state that Ms. Brown is a former co-chair of the Chancellor's Parent Advisory, as well as the current first vice president of the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, CPAC. Okay. Christina's iPhone. Would you like to unmute and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm picking up my kids and couldn't get to the phone before. My name is Christine Eddy. I'm a parent of a District 75 child at 771. I'm also the PA president, and I'm just trying to get more involved and do more for the kids this year. And I would love to, be on the meetings more. This is my first one, so I'm hoping to learn.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Eddy, 771 in what borough, please?
In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, thank you. Thank you. And we also have Catherine Baez. Would you like to unmute and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine Baez. I'm a parent of 2 children, one with an IEP, and I also have a brother who's Down syndrome nonverbal. And I'm just here to listen and help wherever I can. Also, I was on the CCHS and CEC 12 for 10 years.
Thank you, Ms. Baez. Okay. The co-chair, Mr. Spencer, is going to sign on soon, we hope. But I will, in the meanwhile, as Ms. Daniels has stated, the point of the committee is to assist District 75 in co-locations and in new buildings as well, and also in programs. As I think, Ms. Brown, you had stated, are you saying you have an inclusion program on your campus for the District 75 students? I just wanted to understand.
Yes, we have
Okay.
A school that's co-located with us. Some of their children who's able to be, we don't use the term mainstream, like for ELA or for math, they
Right.
do come into our classes, and they're there, so we don't have a problem with including them into the school. So things that we do, they involve whatever we do with the school. So there's not a problem there, and I enjoy them.
Right.
So it's important. So that's what we do. So like it's something that now is more things that I can ask and do as far as, because I'm in District 3.
Okay. And I'm sorry, we've been joined by Miss Ferrandina, I believe is the pronunciation.
Yes, correct.
Yes, could you just introduce yourself? Could you introduce?
Hi, principal of 771K.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your continued support, Principal. And I do also want to understand that the Space and Utilization Committee is it's not just co-locations and new buildings. We're also involved in anything that a D75 school is located in as far as closures, truncations, expansions. We are part of those public hearing processes. And as I said, new schools as well as any new programs that are instituted and any new buildings that have been designated by SCA to be built as strictly either as a joint venture, as they're doing in District 15, where District 75 students will be included, as well as standalone entities. The DOE is still building those as well. Mr. Spencer is in the waiting room, so I'm admitting him now. Mr. Spencer, hopefully he's in. Mr. Spencer, are you in? Maybe he's not on yet.
He's here in the room.
Yeah.
Give him just a chance probably to.
Yeah, he hasn't unmuted, so we'll be waiting for him to unmute. We also, I will continue, the committee also will be the lead on the capital plan. Mr. Spencer, just unmute. Okay, I'll give him the mic in a few minutes. Will be the lead for the capital plan presentation for the council to SCA, for School Construction Authority, sorry. Okay. And Mr. Spencer, you can go ahead if you want and speak. I saw you on mute. Also, we need to have the attendance sheet placed in the chat as well.
Greetings, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Spencer. Got off to a late start.
No worries, no worries.
I was in transit as well, so Co-President Tsai handled everything up until. Everyone has that's in has introduced themselves, and I see that your principal is faithful as always. Miss Varandino is on as well, and so is one of our PEP representatives, Miss Assad. Okay, as well as President's Council.
Hey, all right, yeah, all right, good. Thank you.
I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you first and foremost. I hope everybody's doing well on this first official day of fall. It's going to be cold tomorrow, so cooler than usual. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you to my co-chair of this committee, Ms. Constance Ceciu, who taught me just almost everything that she knows. Yep, I'm proud to be the co-chair of this committee with her. Did a little introduction on myself for those of you who don't know. I am the proud father of a senior inclusion student daughter at Brooklyn Studio School, 771K, Learning with Heart. Did I get that right? I still got to get that logo, that model right.
Education with heart. Education with heart.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But yeah, with heart, and that's how I come to you, with heart. I'm going to be finishing my last year on this council. And what's been critical as a testament to those that are here and that will be here in the future, the collaboration is the only way this community, our community, achieves equity as best and as quickly and as with the best quality possible. So I thank you for your time to learn more about this. So you said that I put the form in the chat, Constance?
It's in. Co-President Tsai put it in, and I just also want you to thank Co-President Tsai and President of President's Council, Ms. Daniels, that she did explain what the committee was about, and Co-President Tsai has actually been carrying the meeting until I got in. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Co-President Tsai. Teamwork makes the dream work. I hope you guys know that kind of compassion is what we bring to the table to make sure that everyone benefits here. We have interpretation, Spanish, Mandarin at this time, because we can't assume that those that don't speak English as a first language can benefit from this. So we want to make sure the translation is there. And without any further ado, before I move forward, Constance, how much did you talk about the SCA? Because I know
not really.
You wanted to...
Didn't have much. It was intros and just a brief synopsis of what the committee actually is going to work on. So not too much about SCA itself. Also, there's an issue with it letting in the Mandarin interpreter, Yadi. Can someone let her in? Because
I'm trying to let her in, and it's
me also. It hasn't worked.
Hey, Amy, is there any way you could troubleshoot that? And what I was looking for is it Miss Marjorie? Isn't that right, Constance? The speaker that we were going to have for the SCA?
Speaker that is going to give us a pre-presentation before SCA's required one is Mona Lisa Chandler, who was the past chair of and past vice president of the Citywide Council on High Schools Capital Plan Committee. Okay?
Was she able to? I don't see her on.
She's not
I
on
know-
today. She will be presenting on next Wednesday at our meeting, though. Okay? She'll make
Yeah, Yeah, I want to to the audience here, and since we're recording this, I wanted to give our community a little bit of a preview of what that is. I don't know if any of you folks have. It was at the end of the panel for education policy yesterday. Where there was an unfortunate incident in the school in the Bronx where the elevator wasn't working, and going kids with the wheelchair on the fifth floor.
Grace Dodge campus. Correct? Grace Dodge campus, yeah. I'm well aware of that situation. It's been going.
And that's what I wanted to lead. Part of this committee is to, like I said, we can't assume. Our community has a lot on our plate, and we may tend to have blinders on. But God bless that person, that woman that came on a PEP yesterday and asked for help, and we're an arm of that. This committee is an arm, a branch, for lack of a better term, is a branch to reach out to communities such as to educate, so it won't come to that dire situation where you're begging at a public meeting. We have this committee meeting. We have our council meetings, calendar meetings where public comment. Where we need to educate, like I said, leave it better than we found it. And what the experience that I and my council members have bring to the table is there's a lot of miscommunication in terms of how schools can go about and getting that funding for the needs that we have. Constance, can you speak a little bit in terms of, because I do want to put a bug in the ear for our constituency. Now we're trying to change the selection. Now the council, our citywide council, right? So 5 boroughs. Traditionally, we've been asked to select 5 schools out of the entire city in the district.
Correct.
SCA improvements. And our council over this term, since 2021, is trying to change that for this coming spring.
Yes.
Can I speak a little bit to that?
What happened when I was on CCHS and under the committee leadership of Ms. Chandler was CCHS was given 5 top choices, as every CEC is given, for SCA. And Ms. Chandler, through her communications with School Construction Authority and their representation, we found it inadequate as a group that Citywide Council on High Schools for every borough and school should just get 5, whereas the district gets 5. So she brought it to the table. The council members agreed with her, and she negotiated with SCA. So we were, CCHS was then given 5 per borough. Okay, and that is what, since Citywide Council for District 75 is citywide as well, we will attempt to solicit SCA to get 5 per borough, 5 selections per borough, as opposed to 5 for this year, for this spring. Okay.
Right, and that's big. That's huge. So just on the back end, and I'm glad panel member Azine is here. So I'm not sure, panel member Azine, you are aware of that or not. And there's a couple of things. I'm so glad you're here. But this is what our council does. This is when the elections come up in the spring, and there's people that want to run for the citywide council for this district. This is the work that it takes. We have to make it better than how we found it. We have to minimize the situation where we have a situation where elevator hasn't worked for, what did the lady say, 5 years or something? We're working to improve ourselves so we can improve our families. So I want to do my best, or maybe one of my council members could do their best to put the link in the Zoom link in the chat for this coming Wednesday. You said the presentation is this Wednesday, right, Constance?
Yes, Mr. Spencer.
Right at our calendar meeting.
Yes. Yes, at our calendar meeting. That's when she will make a presentation. And it's to also assist any other councils who are willing to go through a process of change. And she's basically going to assist our council in streamlining our process so it's very simple for council members, principals, and their staff to send us what they require and for us to enter it without a lot of work, because it can become a lot of work depending on the entries. Whereas CCHS had a lot of requests, a lot more than D75 has. We've grappled with over 300 requests and more in the past. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and also stemming from that, I'm part of co-chair Constance and myself. We had discussed having maybe a subcommittee once we open this subject up on the 28th of this month. You know, we start taking, because it's a big elephant to bite. How you eat elephant one bite at a time. So I mean, different boroughs, sections of different boroughs have different needs. Is co-president Green on?
No, she is not, Mr. Spencer. Sorry.
No worries. I just wanted. It was a pretty tedious process where the council had to come together and make. I mean, there's the list of schools that needed that work. That those requests were like 5-6 pages at least. So we behoove ourselves to make it easier for us to make that kind of decision. So how do we do that? We educate, right? We get in this space. We let you guys know what it takes. My daughter's principal is here. She can, Principal Ferrandino, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you've benefited a little bit from this council's advocacy. I was wondering if you have a chance to speak a little bit to our audience here, just how it works on the school end. Once the council activates and interacts with the school with these requests, is that fine? And you could.
Yeah, that's fine. So basically, the principal prior to me kept putting in the SCA request, and I was taking her request and basically rewriting it and submitting it, and I wasn't selected or whatnot. But when I went to your meeting and I actually heard the wording that other principals used and the urgency of it and the ADA portions of it, I took all that language and I was taking notes during the last meeting that you had for it. And what I did was I took that, and I didn't get the SCA project, but what I did was I took all that information, and it was actually Dr. Daly's school that had the same kind of need that I did. So I took her wording and I put that into my own letter, and I was able to, I didn't get the SCA, but I did get a $200,000 Reso A project from Councilwoman Ina Verkatov that she's actually going to be meeting with me soon. That's going to upgrade my bathrooms at the main site, which were in dire need of repair. And I've showed them to you, like when we did a walkthrough, that like they really need to be upgraded. And they need to be ADA compliant. So even though it's a smaller project, I was able to take what I learned from the SCA meeting and apply it to this.
Taking myself off mute. Thank you, Principal Friend. And that's I mean, that's what we want. We want the council, when I say we, not only all my council members, we want that multiplied throughout the city as much as possible. So please pass if one of my council members could put the link to this Wednesday's calendar meeting in the chat. It's hybrid, and it's key that other principals like Principal Ferrandino or APs or any school staff, if they can come in and learn from this, so that way when the council comes to a decision after Christmas, it's a little bit of an easier process. And I mean, yeah, short of busing, it's a big deal. We're talking about the safety of our kids. So that's what I want to definitely lead with that, because we're gonna have that presentation and a follow-up, but we'll start it on the 28th. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to did you guys share the Google form on the screen or not? I wanted to
No,
break
it's
down.
not shared on the screen. It's just in the chat. So,
No worries.
yeah, co-president Sai did share it in the chat, and she's also sharing the meeting notice as well in the chat.
Thank you so much,
What
folks. So
Google form do you want? Sign in sheet?
can you repeat that?
Which Google form? The sign in sheet?
Yeah, the sign-in sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. You shared it.
Right. So I'm just going to share it on the screen just for the, for those with the, that maybe is a hearing, for those who is a visual learner or have a hearing impairment. I just want to make sure that it's visible for you guys. It also breaks down into, pardon me while I find it. It breaks down into why this. What's the meat and potatoes of this. So let me share my screen. Thanks, guys. Constance, if you can monitor the chat for
Sure,
me.
I will.
So can you guys see my screen? Let me zoom in there and see what the deal is.
Yeah, I
here.
can see it.
Great. Yeah, so this just gives you, and you'll see our email address here for the council, for the committee, ccd75@capacity@gmail.com. And this, our first committee meeting was the 31st of August, and this is an intro. It's a meet and greet. This is because when I'm not going to go into this detail every time for the rest, every other meeting is just, I want to just, as we start off the school year, I don't want to assume that you guys know. I want to just make sure it's put out there. So, it starts with your name, and I'm not going to presume your pronouns. So please feel free to indicate that, email address, phone number. And like I said, language is a big key. If you don't speak English as a first language, someone had asked me, I forget what kind of context, someone had asked me in reference to what translation, why is interpretation so important? And I'm like, if we don't meet people where they are, that's the harder the work is going to be, and the less equity is going to happen. So also, it's important that if you don't speak English, or if you're passing this form around for those who are not here, for those who might think is interested to come to this committee meeting, I want to make sure it's in the proper language as possible, so there's nothing lost in translation. School and site is huge, and we have certain gaps across the city in reference to where we need sites. God bless Mr. Lawrence and the busing committee and all that. God bless everybody that was on the PEP yesterday, and thank you, Co-President Sai, in reference to your advocacy with busing. It's connected here as well. This capacity, we need capacity in those gaps, in those geographical gaps where, my daughter in Brooklyn has to go across town. And that is what it is. But the idea, we need to hold the DOE as accountable as possible for getting the programs as close to home as needed. So it's key that we know where you are. Now, and if you're not in school, if you're with an outside organization, you could put NA in the school and just fill out your organization. That'd be helpful. We want to recognize those that help this council and this committee. I'm not going to assume you want to be on this committee. Please feel free to check yes or no on that, and the mailing list as well. And in terms of a lot of the capacity, and I'll see I don't know how deep I want to get into it at our meeting, but most of it is dealt with ratios if it's not inclusion. So we want to identify what our needs are, so we can bring in what, and that's why I specifically say, is it 6 to 1 to 1, 8 to 1 to 1? Is that something that you're looking for your kids to be in? So we can pass that on to District 75 management and do the proper, and Office of District Planning, and do the proper advocacy. Maybe it won't happen this year. Maybe it's going to take a couple of years, but please, if it's not written, it's not going to be, it's not, if it's not written, it's not managed, right? So let's not make any assumptions, put it down, and this will be in a report at the end of the year that we need to present to our community and to the district in terms of what we're looking to advocate for. Inclusion, not going to go too deep into it, into this, I don't know if we're going to have time on this committee meeting, but lo and behold, we will set aside some time, especially as the decisions for the next school year, and as the school year gets older, we'll get into that. But yeah, it's important to the distinction. It is a separate dynamic, a separate piece of data. But yeah, please indicate that's where your children are. And I did mention as well, in terms of your commute, I mean, everything is connected. And not only the busing committee is going to do something in reference to what's going on now, this capacity committee does the planning, works with Office of District Planning to hopefully minimize, get locations closer to kids' homes so it won't be a large commute. So that's what that's there for. It's all connected. Programs that you need, that you're looking for. Part of this committee is also facilities. SCA and facilities, two different things. Facilities is taking care of the stuff that's already in existing schools. SCA is for future, also could be future plans. But it's key that, it goes back to what we started off with. Let us know what the issue is. We have a safety committee that we can take this information to and get their help to advocate for. And so it's important that we know your issues there, and any additional things that it's not listed on. And that's the nutshell of this committee in terms of identifying needs, working with our community and those partners outside the community to make sure there's proper equity for our constituency, our District 75 families across the city. 7:25. So let me take a time out here, recognize our interpreters, and find out if there's any questions in the interpretation lines. Thank you so much, guys, for being here tonight. I'll start with Spanish. Any questions in the Spanish line?
I'm asking, please hold.
No worries. And I'm sure there'll be more opportunities once the school year gets older in terms of broadening the footprint of folks here and their needs. I'm going to set up the next thing. Go ahead.
No question, no comments in Spanish.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. Did we get our Mandarin interpreter on?
Yes, no questions or comments on the Mandarin line. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to circle back to you a little later on, say about a half hour or so. Let's see at most and see where we're at. Thank you, guys, for your time. I appreciate that. So I went down in terms of what this committee is, the nuts and bolts of it, what we're looking to do. And I want to bring in panel member Azad, to speak a little bit in terms of we don't have anybody from district planning, but eventually the chief part of this committee is we go to joint public hearings for proposed new sites, and this happens from January to March or April, and then members of the panel for education policy, such as Ms. Assad, listen to us. once we listen to you guys. And so we as committee members, as council members, we have to do the groundwork, and we have to make that connection and educate Mrs. Azad here and her colleagues so they can make the right decision. So panel member Azad, it's a pleasure to meet you. I don't think we met each other before. I know I've seen you in passing. Please take a minute to introduce yourselves, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future with this committee.
Thank you so much, Chair Spencer. I mean, we did meet once, but I'll touch on it a little bit. So my name is Tazina Azad, and I mentioned I use she, her pronouns. I am the Brooklyn Borough President's appointee to the Panel for Education Policy, and everything Mr. Spencer has said is absolutely correct. We truly rely on your on-the-ground work to get real authentic feedback from the community when we make our decisions. I know I could speak for I'm going to speak for myself, but I know to be true for a few other members on the panel. When we say that we are very intentional in making sure that our decision making on the PEP is grounded in public feedback, student feedback, teachers feedback, and our sort of school staff and administration's feedback. Prior to being on the PEP, I was a Community Education Council member from District 22. I was the chair of the Equity Committee on that council, and we did have a couple at the point of my tenure. We lacked few D75 seats in our district, and I did advocate to make that a non-issue going forward. And so at the very last few days of my tenure on that council, we had moved forward on a co-location with the school site. But I must say that I do understand a lot of frustration that many of the members here that voiced today, in that it is a large lift, a large heavy lift for you all to be able to go citywide to get sort of do these outreach. And so I want to make sure from my end or my position on the PEP that I hold DOE accountable in making sure that they provide all of the necessary resources that you all require for you to be interfacing with our parents at all time. I did indicate to them that I wasn't satisfied with their outreach sort of strategy, how they do their outreach to D75 population and our scholars and everybody who's involved in that community, and that it cannot be just the same thing, that the same type of outreach that we do with any other population. It needs to be intentional. It needs to happen with empathy and compassion, and with the intent of making sure that D75 population is part of our community. This is where I want to say that I met you, Mr. Spencer, is when we did have one of these hearings, and it was really unfortunate, sort of the community's lack of sort of intent to include the D75 population, as if they were something other than the DOE population. And that is the issue that I try to address internally, and I do hold DOE accountable for that, in making sure that our D75 population is never an afterthought, but always front and center whenever we do talk about anything to do with our students. With that commitment from me, I dropped my email address on the chat. Please use it as much as possible. I do represent Brooklyn, but I will be diligent in taking your request for other boroughs, and then direct it to the folks that need to know it most. You saw at the last PEP, if you attended, that sometimes making it very clear and apparent and public helps, but then we also have direct communication with a lot of you folks that we could put pressure in from top down as PEP members. So please do use my email as often and as much as you all need, and I'm here in support. I'm sorry for taking a long time, but I am truly excited and really ready to work in collaboration with you all to be to be as supportive as I can. Thank you for this space so much.
All right. Now, I am ecstatic. Just on the side, I gotta confess, Principal Ferrandino and I are excited for the new 771K location at 203 in District
Yes,
22.
yes. That's
Uh,
where I met you all. Yeah, that's where I remember you from.
So is it? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think there's a communication problem with
Oh,
Principal
is it?
Ferrandino.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Internet, wacky internet.
Able to fill 68 seats. I'm now taking on an additional class so that I could accommodate 72 students.
Yeah.
Sorry, Principal Ferrandino.
I
Internet
apologize
was-
if I came off mute too hastily, but I just wanted to do for representing us on that. What was that?
Principal Ferrandino, your internet is shaky and we did not get most of your remarks, just so you're aware. Okay, you've been going in and out.
I apologize. Let's have 68 seats. I'm taking on an additional 72 students now served in 22.
So I want to use that as an example. What this committee and you know what, I want to go into that. Why don't I just use that as an example, guys? Just bear with me. And I want it on record in terms of why I took this position for the co-chair of this committee. What you see here is a proposed meeting schedule. And what I've done is I broke it down into 5 different areas in all 5 boroughs. And these are certain, what you see in blue is what will be in conjunction with the election communication ad hoc committee, where it'll be a dual type of meeting in reference to, we want to advocate for those communities that have benefited from the work that the capacity committee has done, and also invite parents to be a part of the process. That's what you see in blue. R is Petriti's campus, X is Clinton's campus. But what I want to do is just use our example, and well, I'll scroll down here. I do have our new location here, 771K at 203. And so when I put this here as how, because I'm on Citywide Council, I represented the SLT, I represented Principal Ferrandino, I represented the school community and advocated for this new site. And I purposely put this here at the end of the year, not only to, well, I want to make sure that other communities are served before what I was familiar with, but I want to give them, number one, my principals some time to get the feet wet where they are. Number two, reach out to panel member Azad, because I know that's her home community, and get a communication line with her. And number three, with those two being said, work with District 20, CEC 22, so we can all be in that space and we can celebrate what advocacy is and lay foundations for how we better, how to leave it better than we did in the past. And there was, panel member Azad, correct me if I'm wrong. It was just, it wasn't as smooth as I would like how that approval process was last May. But all's well that ends well, and this is a positive space. I hope I have your, not only just you as a Brooklyn representative, I have, with Vice Chair Shepard and I would want all the borough reps on a PEP to be at our particular locations where they could bring their expertise and bridge gaps to certain members of the community that may not be aware of. Like, for instance, there was a comment here, and I don't mean to get long-winded, but and I also, not only was there a comment for this particular hearing at the PEP, but the hearing for Van Buren. Where do I have that in Queens? Because I think it was here. I had this, and I don't have my notes with me, but there were comments made at the PEP from those outside of this our community that think that we're going to take from other districts, the gen ed of other districts, their sources, their resources for, and District 75 has their own resources. And I broke this up to get into each community to either leave an example in terms of where it worked. Oh, here it is, the Van Buren part. I definitely want to go back to that. So panel member Azad, I want to reach out to the Queens rep. I heard the sister speak last night. She was awesome. But I want to, and I remember a former panel member Dillingham just wanting to bridge that gap in terms of making sure that the correct assessment was made, and there wasn't enough of us, and I say us District 75 reps to speak in that space. And I wanted this council to be, it's a grandiose goal, and it's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm shooting for the stars. But as an elected parent leader finishing his 6th year, I want to be in these spaces where I can educate and leave it better than the way I found it, and go back to, hey, you said this in the past. Let's correct that. Let's stay in a positive sense where we can build our community. There's a sense of equity, and how do we get equity? Through understanding, right? And that's what needs to happen. That's what we need, understanding in each of these spaces in terms of, and we need to celebrate what went right. And what I'm getting at is there'll be a collaboration with once we're in these particular, and these are, like I said, it says virtual, not necessarily hybrid. I'm not looking to have physical meetings all the time, but only where it's able. But at least we'll have a virtual space where we can invite those from the PEP, those from Office of District Planning, and those from other councils. CEC 15 is big with working with us, and I know there's other councils, but this is how I propose to educate not only our community but for others, and so that way we can get the space that we need. We can pay we don't have to rely on Office of District Planning. We don't have to rely on the PEP and those 60 people that are looking to speak. We need to do that work beforehand, so that way things run smoothly. God bless panel member Azad. She's got to do all this work and all these contracts and stuff. I mean, as an elected parent leader, I feel that I recognize that, and I want to do the work so it could be easier for her. So she's not the only one that's speaking. Lord have mercy, I could go on for days. All right, so let me just take a pause, stop my sharing. Yes, I am passionate. So that's the idea. That's the goal. This is, and hopefully in October we can start going into communities and identifying what works and things of that nature. So, geez, I need to take a break. Let me see if any stuff in the chat. And Constance, did you have any comments? Co-President Tsai, any comments at all?
You're doing quite well, Mr. Spencer.
I'm going to be the only one speaking here. At these, and then we'll get Office of District Planning in, and in terms of they have certain appointees for different parts of the borough, so they can speak to. I want to get them to that space to that space and they can speak to what the joint public hearings are. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but it's important that parents be a part of this process. And how do they do that? It's through this committee. The questions that I ask, I have, you have members of the President's Council here. Let me bring in President Andrea. Are you there? Are you able to speak? She's President of the President's Council, District 75 President's Council, Ms. Andrea Daniels.
I'm here. I'm just on 2 meetings.
Oh, God bless you. I didn't know if you had a meeting or not. Yeah, I wanted you were also on this committee when you were on the council last term. I didn't want to be the only one to speak. I was wondering if you
spoke earlier briefly about the synopsis of the committee.
Yeah, I want to give you a point of view in reference to from the President's Council, from the PTA's point of view, how it's because their representatives are needed in this determination process before it gets to panel member Azad. So I want to uplift the fact that on the Google form, what school do you go to? Why do I have Ms. Daniels here? So that way she knows the school. Is a PTA active? Do they have meetings? Are they aware of new things that's going on? We're ramping up here at our school at 771K, and we have a strong system. We have a strong SLT to make sure that we fight for our community's needs. And if it's not happening in certain parts of the city, as an elected parent leader, I want to make sure that we identify that so we can get the people involved to help iron out that situation. I see. Yeah. Andrew, if you're in a meeting, we could wait. I see Ms. Baez, who's
I'll wait then.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you. Ms. Baez, how are you? Good evening. I see you with your hand up. Go ahead and comment.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to comment on what you were speaking about the PEP, about Grace Dodge. That is true because I was in charge of Grace Dodge and they've been having these issues with the elevator for many years. I've been there several times. I've taken pictures of the building. They also had a problem when Mona Lisa Chandler helped us because she was on the council with me, where the gym tiles fell down and hit a student. So I have all them pictures still saved. They've been having issues. They've been trying to, I even spoke to custodian. It's been an issue trying to get the elevator brakes. I don't know if the elevator is just that old and they just need to get a whole new one, because once those elevators are old, you can't find them parts no more, and it's very hard to replace them. So I don't know what's the issue, but they've been having that for a very, very long time. And I thought it would have been corrected, but I guess not.
Yeah, and especially for thank you, Ms. Baez, and especially our kids are the most wheelchairs. You don't have an elevator. It shouldn't come down where you're on your hands and knees on a virtual pep call. Please, somebody help me out. Elected parent leaders, where are you? Where's the system at? What fell down? And this is what this is. This is what. And why are we recording? Why do we have interpreters? Because we can't assume, and we have a part to play in that process, so it doesn't have to come down to the PEP and at the last minute, at the last resort. And there needs to be a system in place. There needs to be gears in place where the process goes, where the process keeps going, where it isn't just everybody's running around like headless chickens, it's a process. But thank you for that feedback, Ms. Baez. And if we can, we can pass the word out to, those that aren't here to use this space excuse me, use the space to advocate for that, to bring the, just like busing. God bless Mr. Lawrence and how that was, have 140 people on a call last Tuesday. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that it's the same thing, but we need to be active. We need to, as much passion that we have in busing, we gotta lay the foundation for good places to be in when we eventually get those buses together to bring them to the school. We'll have great schools to bring them to, and what process it takes to get those schools together. What process does that take? It takes. And I want to bring in. I say it's a tentative schedule because I want to get some folks from the superintendent's team to speak a little bit in terms of in the particular areas of the boroughs that they work in, and they could speak to, well, this is how I've seen it. So actually, let me take that opportunity. 7:48 p.m. We'll take the next 5 minutes or so to break down the next big aspect of this committee, and then I'm going to go to interpreters to see if there's anything else. So bear with me, folks, because I'm going to go into it's about what brings about new spaces. How is that identified? I don't know if anybody on the call. So the Office of District Planning goes to each council at the beginning of the year, and they came to our council on August 10th and presented us with what they feel, what the needs are for our district in terms of the seats that we have for our particular all our particular aspects. Yeah, I'm stalling. I'm waiting for the file to open up. So bear with me. And I think I've got it up online. So let me share. Let me use my presentation to speak to what I'm talking about. So this is the presentation that Office of District Planning presents to each council regarding what's the plans for next year, right? And if we're not having an active discussion about this, then our future's at risk, right? You know, Office of District Planning. Can everybody see my screen? I'm trying to look for the Zoom here. Here we go. I think I got the Zoom.
I can see it.
Okay, great. Let's get this.
You gotta pitch it up a little more, I think, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get this thing together here. Come on, Craig. What's going on? Let me see what's going on. Let's see. Get this here. Here we go. Good job, Craig. Good job. Let me see what's going on here. There we go. Okay, so this is the page thing. All right, so let me zoom out. All right, so yeah, so 10 minutes, right? So let me not dive into it. So we have enrollment by borough. So why do I ask on the Google form, where are you located? Where are your schools? You know, because we can compare that information. It shouldn't be top down, right? It should be bottom up as well. It should be a two-way street. It's one thing for Office of District Planning to present this to us. Then it's to us as parent leaders on this council, through this committee, to go back to our community and say, hey, look, this is what Office of District Planning gave us. Is this right? Is this something that you guys are seeing out there? Right? So new sites, things of that nature. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Enrollment, right? 6 to 1 to 1, 8 to 1. What is your kids enrolled in? We had a little bit of drop from last year to, from 2021 to 2022, end of last year. But what I want to get to the meat of the heart of the matter, and I think I'll break these numbers down into the on the dates that we are in that borough, right? So we can identify those numbers. But when I asked those, and these are some of the new sites here, and this is enrollment per district, right? Why do I ask all that information? We want to see, and 31 is Staten Island, so that's why they're the biggest. 11 in the Bronx, 27 in Queens, 24 in Queens, 10, where I believe that the elevator issue was last night that was brought up, 9, 8 in the Bronx, 28 in Queens, 29 in Queens, 20 in Brooklyn, all right? So what part of this, and that's elementary school, is broken down to middle school, high school. But we talk about the future, and this is what I want to get into. Why I list in terms of what do you feel your needs are? And this is top down. This is from Office of District Planning. I don't know why I can't get, here we go. Good job, Craig. Elementary schools, the needs. Look at, you see red, when red portrays panic, right? It's not stop, halt, things are out of control. But as I'm 6th year in this council, co-chair Constance City, who's been on this council twice my council life. Co-president Sai has been on multiple. She has multiple children. She has multiple experience. It's more than, it should be more than just numbers. And also, we want to also identify. This is New York City. It's hard to find spacing anywhere, right? So we don't want to. We see red. We don't want to panic, but we want to be real that these are numbers, and we want to flesh out these numbers, and we want to. And this is where. Also, I think those outside of community, I don't know if panel member Azad and your colleagues see these numbers. So when there's an issue in terms of it's brought in front of the PEP, and it's like, well, I don't think these. I've heard panel member Azad and her colleagues say, hey, look, there's a need for this, especially Vice Chair Shepherd. There's a need for in this community for these seats. Bam, here it is. It says it right there. Right? And if there's not enough of us that know it, if there's not enough of us that are handling this directly, that know that, then that means panel member Azad and all her colleagues, they've got to talk to their dry in their throat. There's a lot of work on them. And like I said, they handle contracts, they handle all the stuff. It's time for, if we want the equity, we have a part to play. And as an elected parent member, I need to get this back to my community and say, hey, look, yes, this is red, but let's break these down and see what we can do and get a game plan. So that way, when it gets to, there'll be more of us at the panel for education. There'll be more of us at the joint public hearings. There'll be more of us that want to participate in the PAs and PTAs to speak to these red numbers, so it won't be just red. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key thing in a nutshell here. Just I want to flesh out these. I want to get to high schools. Oh my God, right? But it is what it is. Right, summer 2022. This is the needs from last school year. It is what it is. Let's flesh this out. It's not, Rome isn't built in a day. Allah built the earth in 7 days. So we're mortal. So District 6. That's I need Dr. K here. Dr. Kalira is here. Panel member Azad. So I need your folks from the sister from Queens. So get 29, right?
Yeah, I got them. I'll definitely tap them into this. But Mr. Spencer, if I may take just 1
Yeah,
minute.
go ahead, because I talk.
Yeah. So look, we have been sort of what we got from SDA, our SDA report didn't sort of go into details per district at all, and much less D75. So we didn't see these numbers. Whatever I knew personally was from whatever my sort of knowledge was prior to coming into the PEP. So we haven't seen these numbers and these details at all, which is, I think, is an issue. But then again, let's talk about the fact that it's not only about just student numbers, but then talk about the fact that there's concentration of students in Bronx and Brooklyn much higher than other boroughs. Yet we are systematically underfunded as far as student fair student funding goes, right? Almost always is for Bronx is the least funded per pupil, and then Brooklyn, then Queens, then Manhattan. It's always like that, right? So when we see that Bronx and Brooklyn and then Queens needing having much more students with disabilities, at D75 students and so on, we must then ask DOE to pour much more resources in those areas. And because there's a lack of resources, we have lack of capacity, we have lack of sort of parent advocacy, because when parents have to juggle so many things and put out so many fires and see so much return on their advocacy, it drains them. It's draining, it's traumatic sometimes. The parent or the representative that spoke about the Dodge campus, it's been years that they've been advocating for it. At a certain point, there's turnover, but then also there's exhaustion from folks not paying attention to the Black and brown students. If it was somewhere in Manhattan in certain schools, I don't think they would receive the same lack of response that they did in these spaces. And then we also have to call in our elected officials. Where are they? If their constituents are suffering this way, they must step in and require and demand some stuff. Principal Verandino said that when SDA didn't step up for her need, she then looked into our elected officials to fund those stuff. So we really need to do a whole sort of deep dive into specifically what all of these numbers mean and how to really re-envision how we address and interface with D75. I love all these information. I'm just going to ask you right now, whatever data you have, if you send them my way, I will definitely look through them, and I will love to sort of do an analysis with you all later on.
Absolutely. That's why I was so happy you were here, because like I said, you, Dr. K, Vice Chair Shepherd, and Deb Dillingham did when she was there, and the new sister from Queens. She does it. And we're there for you. We're there. And man, it's just been a journey. It's been a journey, and it's not over yet. And I want to, like I said, this is my 6th and final year, and I want somebody to take my place. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the PEP, and there's someone that needs to I need to pass this baton off to, and that's why I got President's Council, Ms. Daniels here, and to generate that PTA. So there's someone that's coming in and taking the torch, because like I said, it's not going to happen all at once. Red is scary, but we need, as a community, no one else is going to speak for us. No one else. None. We need to take ownership of these numbers. And this isn't even inclusion. I don't want to even get into that. That's totally different. And that's more complicated in reference to mixing. No, Principal Fernandino, I'm not going to put you on the spot. My daughter's in inclusion. It's a great thing. It's a different conversation. But inclusion, I gotta end with this, and I want to go to interpreters. Why did I run for council 6 years ago? was in an inclusion program. My daughter's in an inclusion program. She went from 6 to 1 to 1. Now she's looking at colleges. If it's right for my daughter, it's right for y'all. It's right for all of y'all. Everybody. All this District 75 is not garbage pail kids. I'm sorry, it's not. We've worked too hard for it, and I won't accept it. But I'm only one person. I need to lift up my wife, who's taking care of my daughter right now. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So that being said, 8:02 p.m. Yes, I did go on. I'm going to check with interpreters. Thank you guys. And then we're going to end the meeting because it's till 8:30. We'll just everybody with their last comments, and then we'll take a look at the schedule again to see where we're going. So let me check with the interpreters first, guys. Spanish interpretation. Can you let us know if there's anybody that has this there that needs? Please, thank you.
This is the Spanish interpreter. I just asked, so one moment, please. No questions or comments on the Spanish line. Thank you.
There is no question or any concern on the Mandarin line. I asked twice.
Craig, if the interpreters don't have any participants in their room, can we relieve them, please?
Myself off of mute, that might help. Guys, interpretation, thank you so much. Once again, you guys are so vital to get this information out to those who don't have English as a first language. I'm releasing you at 8:04 p.m. September 22nd, 2022. Have a great and safe evening to you and your families. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, interpreters. You're released for the evening. Good night.
Sure. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
You too. You too. God bless.
Good night.
Bless.
Thank you.
All righty. So yeah, we're just gonna close up here. Just did someone say? Yeah, we're gonna close up here with just any last remarks and you know, oh, Miss Rima is here. I need let me. Hey, Rima, can you come off of mute? So Rima took me in 6 years ago, wet behind the ears, not knowing anything as a council member, and she brought me on this path, and she didn't teach me everything that she knows because she slays. I can't no other way to say it. Rima slays. She still does it. So Rima, please bless us with a couple of words, please. Let me start off. Please bless us with your knowledge.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. Listen, I just see a parent that needs something. It's like, hey, come with me because I need something too. And we're going to learn something. And, you know, and then we build each other up. And now we have this awesome community with all these extra people that now know stuff. And now we all get to advocate as a crowd, as a group, as a family, as a village, you know, instead of ones and twos. You know, now we're 10s and 20s and 50s and 100s. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody here. I definitely see you guys everywhere advocating and fighting for our families and tying everybody into the work and representing everyone. And I really appreciate that. And we all have our special thing, our inclusion, our language access, you know, STH, like we all have something we really care about that enhances the group because we all make each other shine. So I just want to say thank you for the space and thank you for the gratitude, but I'm grateful to you. Each one teach one, that's the whole point. So, you know, somebody here was my me for you. So my me for you was Celia. So hi, Celia Green. And that's the each one teach one. So maybe double the time you said was when she took me. And, you know, Each one teach one. I can't say it any better. You have to teach the next one because we're not gonna be here, and we need them to be proficient. Like they need to be able to get paid for this job to do this effectively, and it's our job to teach them because our time and sweat and blood and tears is our gift to you. And now you develop your own, and your blood and sweat and tears shouldn't be what mine were. You know, and we push that sustainable progress. So I want to thank everybody, and I love to see you guys everywhere.
Hey, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we want to prep up for whatever ideas that you have, Rima, in reference to stuff in the North Bronx. You and I know you and co-president Sy is in the North Bronx too, but the more the merrier. Whatever, I don't know if you saw on my Google form, if you saw in the meeting, there's different aspects of the Bronx that I want to hit in terms of, and in the Google form, I want to find out other needs, including inclusion. And so your feedback in terms of what you foresee should happen for our district in the Bronx or other areas of the city is vital toward this committee. And I just want to invite you to just participate that way. So 8:08 p.m. So she laid down the lead for co-president Green, who also 6 years ago kind of pulled me aside and showed me the way. So I need to give co-president Green some space. Co-president Green, how are you?
Hi, good evening. How are you, Council Member Spencer?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed for you to be here. I know you got on late. I'm so glad to have panel member Azad here, and I showed her some of the numbers that ODP shared with us on August 10th, and I was just imploring to our constituents that it shouldn't have to wait to go to the PEP. It's got to start early. It's got to start with the PAPTAs. It's got to start with the joint public hearings. It's got to start with us as parent leaders, bringing our community together to speak to us. No one can speak to us but us. So I'm just trying to lay a softball for you. Can you share with us, just some of your thoughts?
I agree with you completely in the sense that a lot of times we hear there's a short period of time between the time that we hear about a joint public hearing or hear about a proposal and the time the proposal is on the docket for the PEP to vote on. And even then, sometimes, although we hear about it, because I knew people that were on the PEP before, and we might hear about it and they may be engaging us, but they may not have told the PEP people as yet about that upcoming proposal. So sometimes when we think they know, they're getting the stuff the week of or possibly a couple of days before they have to vote on it. So I think it's good that when we're having, at least for us to keep in mind as D75, when we are engaged with the Office of District Planning and they are telling us about something that's coming, it might be good, not necessarily the first day of the proposal, but definitely for the joint public hearing to make some of the PEP people aware, especially now that we have hybrid and virtual and all that, to make some of the PEP people aware so that they can be there, so they can hear from the actual community, because there are some communities where the outcry is great, but I don't think they get to hear it. If you're not at that joint public hearing, you don't really get to hear it. You don't really get to hear when we get, because there's cases where we had, and it's not often, but we've had 200 people show up to speak on behalf of a school or on behalf of opening a school or expanding a school and that kind of thing, or expanding into another site. And, there's nobody from the PEP that's actually going to vote on it that actually gets to hear any of that beforehand. or actually gets to know which way or what ways the communities that are affected want to go with it. So I think I'm glad that you have made this your mission. This is like your pet peeve like mine. and you are always willing to go to whatever borough it is and do what needs to be done. And I know I spent a lot of time on the trains and the buses. One of the former presidents for D75 used to say, "Oh, you have a golden Metro card because you're always in another borough. You know, you always got to go to these things because other than that, even when the proposals come up, nobody tells the school audience, nobody tells that affected community that a joint public hearing is to get input. And it's not just, and it's to get input, but you don't get answers the same day. So I find a lot of parents do go to those joint public hearings thinking that they're gonna, it's a Q&A and they're gonna get answers back and so on. And they don't. And it turns very ugly very quickly because then people feel unheard, people feel ignored, people feel less than. So I think we need to let people know to, and I do say this all the time, please ask for a community meeting. I've had several occasions where I've said it and sometimes the PA president or PTA president or the PA people, because sometimes they don't have PTA. So the PA people or the parents at that school don't realize that they have to ask for it because the principal is never going to ask for it. It's not in their best interest to do that. And they're never going to do that. So I think we have to train parents in the sense that, or bring them up to speed. Let's say train, bring them up to speed and let them know there's certain things they can do that are helpful because a community, if they want to have a community meeting, then they do get a Q&A. They do get answers on the spot. You know, the district superintendents involved will be there. People from the Office of District Planning have to be there, but people are there and will answer them. It's just not done at a joint public hearing. So I'm glad that you're fighting the good fight because it's not an easy fight and it's not an easy climb. And I think we have to educate people. We really have to have some sessions. I think we do. Maybe that's something we can do with this committee. If you're open to it, I think it's something we should do. I think building up about, okay, what do you do if your school is proposed to expand? Or what do you do if your school is proposed to close? Or what do you do if your school, whatever scenario, whatever, hundreds of scenarios in between there that there is, you're gonna get a resiting or a new co-location or whatever it is. How do you, what are the responses you need to have? What are the things you need to do immediately? First, your principal actually should be engaging the SLT. So hopefully you're on the SLT and the principal should be engaging that SLT to let them know. There's some principals, I've had some principals that were fantastic at that. And as soon as they let me know, we started working on it and blah, blah, blah. Other principals don't mention it until the last minute. And then there's a third category where ODP doesn't mention it till the last minute. So the principal can't mention it until the last minute because they don't know. So there's a bunch of variables, but we're gonna work on it. You know, I think they've gotten better and engaged in 75, meaning the Office of District Planning. But a lot of that has to do with us constantly going to these things and constantly requesting stuff. So if you weren't out there requesting stuff on a regular basis like you are, you know, it wouldn't be further ahead. But let's work on that. Let's try to get more parents to understand that because time is of the essence when these proposals come up. You know, and I'm hoping that, I'm really hoping that that's one thing we can do, that we can have people be more prepared for when proposals. Everybody's not going to get a proposal. Every school's not going to get a proposal. But what do you do when you get it is what we need to prepare people for. So I thank you for having this meeting. And, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being part of the committee.
Thank you, Co-President Green. Yeah, you just reinforced the things I was trying to try to say in reference to why is Ms. Daniels here, right? Because it starts with active, you know, there's only
We have to on 2 meetings.
no, I'm just saying I'm not saying you need to speak, Ms. Daniels, I know, but I was just reinforcing what Co-President Green was saying. Is just parents need to be, then they need to be active and speak for themselves. Why do I put on the Google form? What is it in your community that you need? What are your kids in? What ratio your kids are in? What schools are you going to? So that way we can we can get this information and have a discussion and get our hands dirty, so we can get that community meeting going and quantify the numbers and personify the numbers, and where it's not just red means stop or red means alert. We're more than just numbers. We're more than just a color. We're people. And we need, yes, it's I almost cursed. It's hard. It's hard. I had to rush here from work. My wife is taking care of my daughter's 18. She's good. But I'm saying back then, like, it's hard. But if you're taking the time for your kids to get up, to get to school, you have to miss work, whatever, or you're taking the time or maybe you're listening now or something and the recording now while you're cooking dinner or you're getting them cleaned up. Just know that you're not alone and look for others that's going to work with you and help you. And that's what this council is. That's what this committee is. We're looking to work to make it better. 8:18 p.m. Thank you, Co-President Green. So just going to wrap up some things. So to bring things to a close, wow, I'm spending a lot of energy here. What I want to do is I'm going to, and I want Ms. Brown to speak, but I guess she's off. All right, so let me, I want to work down the line. What I see is there's a Katya. I'm not sure. It says Katya QC. Could you come off of mute and introduce yourself? I'm not sure if I'm familiar with. I just want to start with the last closing remarks. I'll start with you and then go down who I see here. If not. Okay, maybe she's doing something. Okay, so then I'll go to panel member Azad. You have any closing remarks? We're going to wrap up the meeting. Thank you so much. Can't wait to keep in contact with you. Any closing remarks? I'll make sure you email you that information.
I just want to say thank you for having me in this space and letting me share my perspective and allowing me to listen to yours. I reiterate my commitment to this council and its population and its communities, families, and scholars. I'm available whenever y'all need me. Have a good night. Peace and blessings, all.
Peace and blessings. Allah bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for your time. We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. Ms. Baez, thank you for your time this evening. Any closing remarks?
Just thank you for always welcoming me and having me. And the D75 students, all students are precious and you can learn a lot from them. And as parent leaders, you have to know what you're signing up for, understand it, for then you to teach the next set of parents what to do. And remember, you're not in it for your personal gains, it's for these students. If you're there for your personal gains, I think you should just step down because you're doing no favors to these students. And these students are the first top priority, first, second, and third. I don't want to hear anything else but that and their safety. Thank you for always welcoming me and having me. And I will fight for anybody's kids. I don't care.
Thank you, Ms. Baez. Thank you. Good to be there right beside you. Thank you so much. Keeping us honest. Thank you. Ms. Daniels, I know you're in 2 meetings. You want to just say hi and bye, or I know you'll.
The meeting is finished. I'm only on this one now.
Okay.
And it's finished. I was supporting the school in Queens.
God bless you.
Virtually, tonight. Anyway, I want to say good evening, everyone. Have a good night. And I'm not gonna stop continuing to fight and advocate for our students in District 75 and our students in DOE in general, as well as our parents. And the CCD 75 Council has always welcomed me on their meetings, and I look forward to continuing to work with the council and all the other parent leaders to continue advocating for our kids. It's all about the students. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Appreciate it. I know Gwen said that she couldn't make it tonight, but I'll be in touch.
We're in school. That's what school I was at.
Okay, that's why. Tell her I said hi, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Principal Ferrandino, I'm going to get you out of here. Any closing remarks?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me to the meeting, and you have my full support. You are a big supporter of my school, our school community, and you've helped me expand in terms of space. I'm very transparent with how I'm utilizing my space. I welcome, anytime a walkthrough to, it's open to you to see. I know my internet was cutting in and out before, but what I had said was that initially I was planned for 8 classes at 203, which is in District 22, and I took on a 9th because there is a need there and I could accommodate with the space. So we needed another 6 to 1 to 1. I said, no problem, we'll open it. I interviewed a teacher today, so we're going to get those kids in as fast as possible.
Right. And I know
Happy to welcome them too. And even that's my new site. I have a lot of active parents, so anytime you want to come, that's the site with the most pickups and drop-offs, and there really was a true need for it. It's a really nice, strong school community.
Awesome. Now, unfortunately, I won't be at the PA meeting next Wednesday because I'm going to be at the council meeting, but I definitely, I have off that day, so hopefully I'll be able to do something in beforehand. I'll be there as best I can, and as always as I can.
You said there's an SCA presenter next for your meeting. Would it be possible if they have a PowerPoint to share that? Because that's where I got my takeaway last time.
Right.
Do you want me to answer that, Mr. Spencer?
Yes, please, Constance.
I just wanted to know, Ms. Chandler is going to do a presentation on the capital plan for us. She is not a school construction authority presenter. That's going to be a separate venue. But however, I will request that if she can share her PowerPoint presentation, if she's presenting one. I will ask her and let you know. Thank you for always joining. Valentino, thank you very much for your work with it.
Thank you for everything. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night, Principal Ferrandino. Rima, any last anything you want to close? Any closing remarks, Rima? Maybe she's tied up. While I wait for that, Co-President Green, Co-President Tsai, thank you so much for your support. I couldn't do this without you. Trying to get out of work and finish up work and stuff. God bless you. Co-President Tsai and I, we're practically council siblings, and it's been an honor to serve with her. So I'm buttering you up, Amy. Say something to the crowd.
Sure, thank you. I'm glad to support you and Miss Constance in this capacity and utilization, and love hearing everyone's feedback on how important it is for parents to get involved in their school and to really understand what does the building and the program and the student needs are to be met. And I just want to also extend this is that, this is a goal of ours as a council is to ensure that all students that live in their districts get the service in their district or close to home. And that's an intersection of our student transportation, making sure that students are not traveling far distances to get to a program that's fitted for them and that's appropriate. We want to make sure that eventually and hopefully very soon, that every district has the best programs for D75, that every student who needs a District 75 is capable of going to a District 75 as close to them, as local as to them, and being inclusive to the program. I really appreciate Ms. Jimmy Brown expressing that, that we need to make sure every single district has the appropriate spaces, and to make sure that, you know, when there are programs like this, that they're open and available, those students can go in and have the priority. I know specifically District 10 and 9, which I live in District 10, we have a very over excess amount of students that need District 75 program. And when they don't have one, or parents choose not to put them on their kids on the bus and end up in Gen Ed ICT classes, the children lose a lot and they fall behind in class and they fall behind a grade. And that's just, you know, unacceptable that a parent has to go through those challenges to choose and have lack of options. So really making sure that, you know, parent leaders and PAPTAs have the opportunity to really ask those questions at SLTs and joint public, you know, to make their testimonies at joint public hearings and the PAP, and also request that, you know, you do a walkthrough for the school and really see the relationship, see the actual building and the classrooms, and see how fitting it is. I know that we always have a robust conversation, as we don't want our related service programs to be in closets. We don't want our kids to be in half-size rooms and it's really too tight. Just really want to make sure that we're coming into a building beforehand that it's fitting for those students. And if the principal says, well, I'm going to put partitions in the classroom just for D75, then maybe that's not the site that we need to consider. So appreciate everyone for coming this evening. And I'm glad and honored to support this committee. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Co-President Sai. Much appreciated. Co-Chair Constance.
Co-President Green.
Oh, is she speaking?
Co-President Green, did she have any closing remarks as well? Co-President Green, are you on?
She maybe
Yeah, I'm sorry. It took a while
there
to
you go.
unmute.
And also,
Forgive me.
also, and if you would go back to Mrs. Scardo, she may be able to speak now.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to go back to Rima first, and then I'll go after Rima.
No, it's just closing remarks. We're wrapping up.
Okay.
So, any
So I
closing
just
remarks?
want to say thank you for everyone who attended and who's here. You know, it's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of stuff moving forward. I will help you with any of the information questions that you need. I have no problem with that, because you know that's my pet peeve too. It's like getting people prepared. So definitely I'm looking forward to this. So hopefully everyone will come back and they'll bring and then each one teach one moment, they'll bring somebody else they know that needs to know this, because a lot of this stuff doesn't just apply to 75 in terms of utilization and capacity. It also applies to other districts. So if people could bring other people as well and have parents up to speed, so we're not always going through this little vicious cycle of, you know, nobody knows what it is. And you know, all of a sudden it's a surprise. It's a proposal in your district and specifically for your school. And yeah, well, let's have people prep beforehand. So I'm looking forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilmember Spencer.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure, Co-President Green. Rima, did you have any closing remarks, Rima? She may be. Oh. Not sure.
Mrs. Scardo, are you on at all?
I know she said she was dealing.
I am. I'm so sorry. It's
No
a
worries.
little bit hectic over here.
Only if you're free.
So no, it's okay. What was your question? I'm so
No,
sorry.
I was just any closing remarks.
Oh yeah, guys, go out there and speak your mind and kick butt. You know, we gotta do our thing for our kids, and we gotta support each other and build each other up. And I'll see you guys on, you know, the physical and virtual streets, out there supporting our kids, supporting each other, elevating our community. Thank you so much for that opportunity. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Jose from FACE, thank you so much for your support, sir. Jose Gonzalez, who supports the council, from FACE. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Constance, we're gonna wrap it up. Last one, please.
Fine. The only thing I wanted to say, co-chair Spencer, is the panel member who's the appointee for the Queensborough president is Cherie Gibson.
Thank you.
Okay, Cherie Gibson is her name, so you know. And I also wanted to thank panel member Assad for her comments concerning the community and school meetings as far as the participation of District 75 parents and families. Okay, you're absolutely right. They are made to feel like outsiders in a lot of the spaces. And I'm so glad you're voicing it, and I'm sure you will elevate those concerns as far as those meetings are concerned in future. So thank you very much for putting that in the chat. And thank you to everyone for joining the council meeting. As always, Mr. Spencer has done an excellent job. And thank you for bearing with us through all the trials and tribulations before the meeting got to a full start. Just want to thank our fellow council members and President's Council, as well as the PEP member, Ms. Esquerdo, parent leader, and everyone for coming. Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Thank you. Don't forget, September 28th, next Wednesday, our calendar meeting from 6:30 to 9 p.m. where you'll get an SCA preview. Yeah, please pass that along. I should probably, you'll look for the flyers for our council for our meetings with the Zoom. It's going to be hybrid, so you don't have to physically attend. Let's get the ball rolling to get the spaces we need for our kids. So that way, 75 parents, they can have faith that there's other aspects out there that'll support them, that they don't have to keep it to themselves. It's enough that they have to manage themselves and their kids more than gen ed kids. It's time for us to present this to them and give them as much resources as possible. So thank you for making those efforts with this committee and with the Citywide Council for District 75. I am the co-chair of the Capacity and Utilization Committee, Mr. Craig Spencer. I wish you and yours the very best. For all those of the Jewish faith, have a safe and happy holiday. And good night. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.